Cafe Networking podcast promotes successful business experts. I'm Dom Riak, connecting people throughout the world from my podcast studio in Brazil. Joining us today from Philadelphia, Aesha Tahir, CEO, founder of Tone and Strengthen Wellness, a virtual fitness platform. Aesha's award-winning author, keynote speaker, corporate trainer, and columnist. So Aesha, what's the connection between work stress and posture?
That's such a great question, Tom. We've all felt stress, right? Mm-hmm. It can present as worry, fear, anger, sadness, overwhelm, anxiety, depression, and it's so closely related to muscle tension. Mm-hmm. Now, let's talk about work stress. Like, work stress presents as many different things. Maybe it's a deadline for a project. Maybe you're overwhelmed by the number of projects you are on right now. And then on top of it, with the technology that we are using at this time, like the cell phones and iPads and computers, laptops, we are connected 24/7. Mm-hmm. So we're never turning the switch off.
Right.
Which is leading to exhaustion and burnout. Mm-hmm. So burnout is nothing more than being under stress for a very long period of time. So we have this increased reliance on technology, and that has significantly influenced our life, right? So we are not really getting the time to calm down. Mm-hmm. We are in a silent battle with our devices, and they're slowly draining us. There are a few ways that the work stress actually impacts our posture. The first one is that the way we are working on our devices, mm-hmm. we are hunching over. Our spinal alignment, the way we are keeping our spine for a very long period of time, is not optimal. What I normally see with the desk-bound professionals and most of the professional employees is that they have their head forward, shoulders rounded, and an excessive arch in the lower back, which we call the anterior pelvic tilt. Right. And that leads to lower back pain. Right now, like last year, the cost of lower back pain alone was $50 billion in US.
Wow.
And this does not include the lost wages. This is just the healthcare cost that is being put to treat lower back pain, right? And what else is happening is that since we are like just glued to our desks, it has taken us away from manual labor, right. Manual work. So it's a sedentary job, right? So we are very sedentary most of the day. But our body is designed to move and change positions often. And when we don't do that, the long-term high-volume use of laptops and cell phones and computers is really having a knock-on effect on our body functions, like, biologic functions, but also our mental health, which is right. Stress.
Well, okay. We see that everywhere today, even seeing people walking around, which should be positive. Yes. They're walking around looking at a telephone and their heads are down.
Yes.
They're not even looking ahead. I'm just wondering, we're going to be run over. They don't know where they're going.
It's funny you say that. So my work territory is New York City and Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. And whenever I go to the cities, I see people like walking on the streets with their heads down.
That's the way Brazil is. They're just walking and they're looking down. They're hunched over whatever.
Exactly.
And I say, well, they're not even enjoying their walk.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So I'm an exercise physiologist. So let's get into the physiology of stress. What's happening? So when we are stressed out, our brain creates this imagined threat, right? Maybe it's an email from the boss. We know that it's just an email from the boss, but it's creating this stress response in our bodies, right? So our brain is like, oh, I have to protect this human being from this email from the boss because this human being doesn't know how to cope with it. Mm-hmm. So that activates our hypervigilant sympathetic system. because our body responds to mental images of future and perceived threats as if we were running from a saber-toothed tiger right now. Like there was a tiger or a snake in front of us and we had to protect ourselves. The same mechanism is going to kick in if it was work-related stress. So what happens then? Physiologically, our breathing rate doubles. Right. So we have rapid breathing. Our heart rate increases to up to like 120 beats per minute. Like we are still standing or sitting at our desk, but all these physiologic changes are happening, right? Our blood pressure elevates, really rises. We have reduced blood flow to our organs. So our digestive system stops working at that time because our body's like, we have to protect this human being. We can digest food at this time. And the last, which is very important, is we have elevated levels of cortisol, which is the stress hormone in our body. Now that is dangerous. All the prior physiologic responses are too, but when we have high cortisol, what's happening is you are in this stress reactive mode. Any small thing, you're going to snap. You're going to snap at other people. You're going to snap at yourself. You are going to have negative thoughts. You're going to have, and then within us, biologically, when we have high cortisol, the fat deposits around our belly region.
Right.
Because, the visceral fat, when our cortisol levels are high, we are, our heart rate is up, our breathing rate is up. So all of this is happening because of the high cortisol. Now, the reduced blood flow that I had mentioned to our organs and muscles, what does that do? That leads to our muscles getting tightened. So our muscles tighten because of all these physiologic responses, and it raises the level of lactic acid. This high lactic acid level induces muscle soreness and sends pain signals to our brain. Now our brain is like, I'm in so much pain. My muscles are tight. So a lot of times I'm working with these corporate clients and they're telling me, at the end of the day, I really wish I could feel better at the end of the day. I love my work, but I could feel better because at the end of the day, my muscles are tense.
And we're spending the day tightening up.
Yes.
We're just a wad of rubber bands all tight together and you don't know where to start.
Exactly. So this is how, under the stress protection mechanism that our body has through evolution, our nerves activate our muscles to tense up, and that leads to poor posture, right? So poor posture is a cause and poor posture is a result of stress too. So there's a bidirectional relationship over here. But that's what it is. That's what stress is.
And if we multiply that by the number of people in any company, and the companies are all stressed out, the companies are literally hunched over, all right? And so the productivity is out the window because everybody say we can be overwhelmed, but I also see people are underwhelmed. You're talking about the email that you get, but people are worried about the email that they don't get. They're worried about not being invited to a meeting. That could be as disastrous as being invited to a meeting. So there just doesn't seem to be any neutral zone.
You bring up a really good point that it's not just the fact that you get the email that you're connected, but also we create mental images of the fact where we are like, we are not receiving emails. Something is not right.
Something's wrong.
And we call, right? So we call it, in simple terms, we call it anxiety. You're having anxiety that this work project or lack of communication, let's call it lack of communication is there and you don't know what's happening. But a lot of times people are so loaded with one of the things that when I go to corporate clients and I ask them, it's the email load. So maybe that manager is trying to just take some load off of themselves, right? And not sending the email. But since we are in a hunched over position, we can't think objectively anymore. So that's where it becomes really hard to think objectively. And one of the things, if you notice, like after COVID, especially, we saw a rise in stress,
Right.
anxiety, and especially depression, right?
Mm-hmm.
We are seeing this almost epidemic of mental health issues right now,
Right.
right?
And it is an
And the
epidemic, and it is now. This is the leftover.
yes, yes. And the reason is because with COVID and the work from home situation, the people could not walk away from work.
Right.
They not only now they had to take care of their kids from home and also help them homeschool, right? They were homeschooling the kids. In a way, people thought it was a great opportunity to, spend time with the family and with the kids, but they didn't realize the load they were taking on themselves. And the expectations that were set for them from the workplace, which was, okay, you can actually reply to the email at night now, or you can actually be available on the weekends now.
Right.
So all of this muscle tension creates muscle imbalances, which leads to pain, injuries. And that's what my clients mostly come to me for, that either they have way too much pain, or they have chronic musculoskeletal disorders, or they're like, I don't know what to do anymore. Like, I really want help to be productive. And what I do is I address the root cause of the problem, which incorporates all of our major physiologic systems. So I have a framework for pain-free living for busy professionals. It's called BRACE. It stands for breath, relaxation, activity, and corrective exercise. And that's in my book, Unhunched, Discover Wellness Through Posture.
Very good. Well, I don't want our people just to look for you when they're in pain. So how can our listeners find you?
Yeah, thanks for saying that. So as a corporate wellness consultant, I'm available all the time. I guide organizations through the process of building and evaluating an effective and engaging employee wellness program so that they can reduce healthcare expenses and the employees can be happy and healthy and productive, right? So that's the end goal, that the person on the other end of the screen is a happy, healthy individual, is living a fulfilling life. And that's what I help the organizations with and my private clients with. So they can find me on my website. It is www.aeshatahir.com. Let me spell that for you. It's AESHATAHIR.com. Now, when you're there, you can also download a free copy of my Ultimate Posture Guidebook, ebook. It's a 30-page PDF, which has a lot of good information if you're looking for a starting point to improve your posture. It has a lot of good information there. I talk about muscle imbalances. I talk about the BRACE model over there too. So that's how people can find me. And I work virtually and in person. So I'm available to work within US and then internationally too.
Very good. Well, Aesha, thank you very much for being here and sharing your expertise with us and our audience.
Thank you for having me, Tom.
And again, for our audience, it's Aesha Tahir. It's AESHA, the last name TAHIR. You find her at the book, AeshaTahir.com. You find her on LinkedIn, and you'll find the book, Unhunched, Discover Wellness Through Posture, on Amazon. Cafe Network is brought to us by Focus MI Market Intelligence, an agricultural market research specialist in Brazil. More information at focusmi.com. Talk to Tom, talk to the world. Thanks for listening. Till the next time here at Cafe and Networking Podcast.